All right, everyone. So Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 34 has officially been released, and I'm here to give you guys my review. And based on what happens in this chapter, there's definitely a lot that we do need to discuss. So three major things happen in this chapter. We have the immediate aftermath of Mamushi's defeat and all the things that happened there with Boruto, with Kawaki, and Koji, and even a little bit from Amado. We see him getting involved in this. We are going to talk about all of that. We have a conversation between Sakura and Sarada, and that it takes up the majority of this chapter, and that's the one that I think we do need to talk about the most because there's a lot happening there. And then we have a confrontation between Boruto and Code, which was teased at the end of the last chapter, and we do get to see it here, which of course we are going to be discussing what happens there. But first things first, let's talk about the immediate aftermath. So this is where we see Boruto. He's got the Thorn Soul, and he's about to go to the Ten Tails dimension to free Bug. And here is where we get, confirmation about what happens if the Thorn Soul isn't immediately returned to the person that the chakra was originally used to create the Thorn Soul, to create the Shinju. And basically, if it doesn't happen immediately, the person ends up dying. So this is basically telling us that if they do manage to get their hands later on Hidari's Thorn Soul, then they need to get to Sasuke immediately, because if they don't, then Sasuke's going to die. Now, I've already seen a lot of people thinking that maybe this is setting up that, Sasuke could possibly die, because otherwise, why would they bring this up? I personally don't think that's the case. I don't think they are going to go in that direction, because, killing off a character like Sasuke, that's a very, very big thing. It's a very big step in the story, or a very big decision. And if they are going to do that, I don't think that they are going to do that in this manner. I think if they are going to do that, or if they were going to do that, there were other opportunities in the story that I think would have, been better for them to actually do that. I think maybe during the Ishiki fight, it might have been a better time to, basically pull the trigger on that decision. You know what I mean? I think if they had Sasuke die there, I think it would have been better than if they had it happen here with just, the Thorn Soul rotting and basically Boruto being too late to revive Sasuke, to free him from the tree. And we also see what happens with Inogen, and he is basically fine. So it's revealed that Himawari managed to heal all the damage that was done to his eyes. And I know that a lot of people are going to be maybe a little bit disappointed by this, because it feels like there are not really a lot of consequences to this battle with Mamushi. And while on one hand, I do get it, and I personally think it would have been better if they went with the direction where Himawari couldn't heal his eyes. Although thinking about it, that wouldn't really make a lot of sense, because if she was able to heal his internal organs that should have killed him, because of how damaged they were by Jiraiya's attack, then I think it wouldn't have made a lot of sense if she couldn't repair the damage that was done to his eyes. I think that would have actually been like a genuine plot hole. Like, that wouldn't have actually made any sense. So I think, them going in this direction is definitely the right one. Although I do understand people not being happy with this, because it feels like, what little bit of consequences that there would have been to the Mamushi fight, it feels like now it really isn't any. Even though technically there are, but I do get where people are coming from by not being a fan of this decision. So then we get an actually very interesting moment here. We see Damon checking up on Ada, and she's reassuring him that, she's fine. And we see her looking over to Kawaki, and we see this panel where it's just focusing on her looking at him, basically seeing how she feels about Kawaki only being focused on, Boruto and the Thorn Soul, the Shinju. Basically, he's not checking up on her at all. And I think this is definitely setting up Ada sort of, losing that interest in Kawaki. And if you think about it, we did see a little bit of that in Boruto Part 1, like right at the end of Boruto Part 1 in Chapter 81, if I remember correctly. Or no, I think it was Chapter 80. Like, that was the last chapter of Boruto Naruto Next Generations, or Boruto Part 1, where she talked about how she didn't really like how Kawaki was doing things, with omnipotence and lying about Naruto's death and all that. Like, it kind of like made her lose a little bit of interest in Kawaki. And I think this is just the follow-up on that. And I think we are going to maybe get a moment where she's going to basically completely lose interest, because she's going to see that Kawaki is basically just laser focused on his goal, and anything else just is not important at all. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that Kawaki doesn't necessarily care. It's just that he is someone who is so goal oriented. He's so, like I said, he's so laser focused on achieving his goal that everything else just becomes secondary, that he just doesn't really care about anything else. So then we get the conversation between Boruto and Koji, where Koji is basically telling him that, hey, if you do choose to go and try to revive Bug, 3 things are going to happen, or 3 things are possibly going to happen. And in all of them, Code ends up showing up. Code is going to show up in all of them, and either A, Code ends up joining you, B, Code fights you, but he leaves because he realizes he can't win, or C, you end up killing him. So those are the 3 things that are possibly going to happen. Now, he does say that Code joining them is almost 0. Like, there's almost a 0 chance of that actually happening. So I guess he's saying it in a way to basically dissuade Boruto from even trying, because he knows Boruto. He knows that if Boruto thinks that there's a chance that Code is going to join, their side, he's going to try to take it because he is Naruto's son, and that's something that Naruto absolutely would do. In fact, Boruto even once tried that a little bit in chapter 4, if I remember correctly, of Blue Vortex, where he tried to get him to work with him to fight against the Shinju, and we all remember what happened there. And he also does mention, I do want to talk about this a little bit. So Koji does mention that the fight against Mamushi did change destiny again. Now, we didn't see Koji get the update with 10 directions. Now, it's possible that it happened off screen and we just didn't see it, or it's possible that it hasn't happened yet and we are going to see it. But he basically does confirm that the future has been changed again. So now they are essentially operating in uncharted territory. So they don't really know exactly what's going to happen, even though Koji still retains the memories of the timelines that were going to happen before destiny changed again. So yeah, and of course Boruto, hearing all of this, is still of course going to go through with his plan to try and revive Bug, because again, it is Boruto and it would be weird for him not to do that. Now, before we get to the next part of the chapter, we have this little moment between Kawaki and Amado where we see him talking to Amado through a scientific ninja tool, Toad, similar to the ones we saw, or similar to the ones we see Kashi and Koji use. And he's basically telling him to meet up with him in his lab, and presumably they're going to talk about everything that Amado was listening into when it comes to the conversation between Koji and Inogen, which we did see in the previous chapter. So this is possibly setting up that that Kawaki is going to learn about Koji and 10 directions and everything, and how he's been working with Boruto behind the scenes. At least that's what it seems like this is setting up to me. I could be wrong, but we'll obviously find out either again in the next chapter or a little bit in the future. And then we see Boruto arriving in the Ten Tails dimension, where we did see him place a marker there, so he could of course go back anytime he wants. And we see him using the karma to activate Momoshiki's Byakugan so he could see Code, so he can see one of Code's claw marks. And this is of course something that we did see at the end of the previous chapter. So then we get to the next part of this chapter, which is the moment between Sarada and Sakura in the hospital. So we see Sarada waking up. Presumably it's been some time since since she passed out. And I don't know if it happened exactly, or I don't know if this is happening exactly the same day, or if it's been a couple of days. That's not really clear. But anyway, she is up, and we see Sarada testing her sight, and she could see clearly that her sight's gotten a lot worse, which of course we already know, because that does happen with Mangekyo Sharingan use. The more you use it, the more you start to lose your vision. And it's even confirmed here by Sakura that depending on how you use it, it could actually make it... it could actually progress the blindness a lot more than it would normally. So because of how Sarada was using it, trying to destroy like 50 clones all at the same time, and because of that, it basically deteriorated her sight a lot quicker than it normally would have had she used the Mangekyo Sharingan basically a little bit more normal than what she was doing in the battle against Mamushi. And yeah, she basically does confirm to her that using the Mangekyo Sharingan will cause you to eventually go completely blind. Now, let's talk about this for a moment. So this is presumably the first time that Sarada is even hearing about this. And it's not just her, but even Chocho and Sumire are hearing this. Now, Chocho looks surprised. Now, this is understandable because a lot of the secrets that the Uchiha clan have had kept about them, specifically when it comes to the Mangekyo Sharingan, it's not exactly known throughout the village. Like most people in the village don't know, number one, about the Mangekyo Sharingan, or at least no, I do think they do know about that. If I remember correctly, they do know it exists, but they don't know about everything surrounding it. So they don't know that using it actually makes the user go completely blind. So this is basically like new information for them. And even with Sarada now, a lot of people are probably going to wonder, like, okay, why didn't Sarada, or why didn't Sakura, excuse me, tell Sarada about the Mangekyo Sharingan blindness? Why didn't they ever tell her about this? And the thing about it is, right, on one hand, you can kind of understand why they chose not to, because number one, if you remember everything that we saw in the Naruto manga, the history of the Mangekyo Sharingan in the Uchiha clan isn't exactly something that you go around and you start bragging about. It's something that you understandably want to keep a bit secret. Now, a lot of people might think, okay, well, shouldn't like Sarada be the exception? Because her being Sasuke's daughter, they had to know she at least had the potential to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. So shouldn't she have at least been warned? And the thing is, what we see here with Sarada later on, and based on, again, what we know about Sasuke and Sakura, it actually does make sense, even if you may not agree with it. And on one hand, I do kind of disagree. I do think they should have at least warned her that, hey, using the Mangekyo Sharingan is going to have consequences, or at least tell her about it. Even if she didn't have it, even if it was before the events of, Boruto Part 1, or towards the end of Boruto Part 1 when Omnipotence was cast, they should have at least made her be aware of this actually being a thing. So, yeah, on one hand, I do get it, but on the other hand, I do understand where Sasuke and Sakura came from by choosing to not tell her about it. Number one, they didn't know that she would awaken it. Now, even if she did have the potential to awaken it, that doesn't necessarily mean that it was going to happen. Because, I mean, think about it. Like, how many of them could have predicted that something like Omnipotence was going to be casted, and it was going to make everyone believe that Boruto and Kawaki were switched? Like, who could have actually predicted that was going to happen, outside of obviously Koji, but he was hidden and everyone believed that he was dead. So yeah, one person did know about it, but they didn't know that person, and they thought that person was dead. So understandable, again, that Sasuke and Sakura probably thought that, okay, there's a chance that this might not even going to happen, so why even tell her about it? And there's also, again, the fact that Sasuke kind of, has a bit of an interesting history when it comes to the Mangekyo Sharingan. And then, of course, if you tell her about the Mangekyo Sharingan, you would presumably have to tell her about the EMS and what it would take to acquire that in order to fix the blindness, which personally for me, I think knowing Sarada's character, she very likely is not going to want to go that route, because number one, why would she ever want to do something like take her dad's eyes? And also considering the fact that he only even has one eye at this point. So I don't think she would go that route. I know a lot of people have said that, okay, well, what about Sasuke's original eyes? That one I see more likely happening, because obviously Sasuke doesn't have them anymore. And we don't even know if they're still around lately. I know the anime has that scene where Sasuke destroys the lab, like Obito's lab, that he, the exact place where he operated on Sasuke and gave him Itachi's eyes, but that was in the anime only. That wasn't in the manga. So the manga could still go with the route of, well, yeah, he just had them like stored somewhere just in case. I don't know. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with that whole storyline, but yeah, so those are just my thoughts on that. And we see actually this very beautiful moment between Sakura and Sarada where she's hugging her and she's basically comforting her. And I do think this is a very nice moment. It is. I do like seeing these moments with the older generation and the newer generation. I do actually like seeing these. And we also get, probably the most like Sakura moment in, that we've seen in a while now, where she's basically telling her that, look, I know that there's nothing I can do to stop you, because I know you're my kid, and I know that you're actually a lot like me, and you're just going to keep moving forward, even when everyone in the village is trying to essentially dissuade you from doing what you want to do. And she is basically telling her that, you're actually a lot like me and you're a lot like your father. And she even brings up Itachi. So I think this is maybe the first time in Two Blue Vortex I know that we got a Itachi mention. I don't remember if we got one in Boruto Part 1. So this may be, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but to my memory, this I think is the first like reference to Itachi that we got in Boruto just in general. I don't think we ever got that before. Maybe there was something in the anime that I'm not remembering, or maybe there was an episode that I didn't watch where Itachi was mentioned. So again, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. And yeah, I really do like this moment. And we also get, another moment that I really do like between Sarada, or excuse me, specifically with Sakura, where she basically talks about how, no matter what, I'm always going to believe in you and your father, just showing us that Sakura still has not changed, which I am personally not surprised by this. I would have been more surprised if she did turn on Sasuke. Like that, I think would have been completely out of character. Like you can't tell me how Sakura stuck with Sasuke or believed in Sasuke through everything that he did in the Naruto manga, and then now she's just like, all right, fuck this guy. Like, no, I don't believe for a second. That would have been out of character if that actually ended up happening. But her saying that she's going to stick with Sasuke and Sarada no matter what, that is definitely Sakura. This is very, very in character for her. And she also has this moment where she says something that's inspiring, but also kind of heartbreaking in a little bit, at least for me, because she says that, she's kind of used to people just talking, bad about her and her family, which, man, I mean, again, like you can't help but feel for Sakura a little bit here in this chapter. And especially when you think about, like, everything that she's been been through, both in the Naruto manga and even here in Boruto, like seeing people talking bad about Sasuke again, even though they were kind of already talking bad about him. We saw that a little bit in Boruto Part 1. And now it's just back to him being, oh, he's a traitor, oh, the Uchiha clan, they're scum or whatever. That's probably what she's hearing all throughout the village. And she's just like, you know what, I'm kind of used to it at this point. But we see a moment later on that shows you how it actually is taking a toll on her. Everything that's going on with, with Sasuke and, her daughter, like it definitely is taking a toll on her. So after because this is the moment I was talking about. So after she leaves, we see actually like once she's away from Sarada, we see actually her start to break down a little bit. And again, this is the like very, very heartbreaking kind of moment because like even Sakura, for as strong as she is, like it basically tells you that it doesn't matter how strong someone is, everyone has their breaking point, everyone has their limit. And we are seeing it a little bit here because, I mean, think about it. She is a mother who basically just found out that her daughter is going to essentially go completely blind. And she knows that there's nothing she can do to stop her because she knows her. She knows that she is a lot like her. And she knows that if she was in her position and someone tried to talk her out of it, someone tried to talk her out of helping Sasuke, she wasn't going to listen because she knows why Sarada is doing this. She's doing this for Boruto. And again, yeah, she's basically in the same position that, sorry, got a little distracted with something, but back to this. But yeah, it's, basically, it's interesting to see because again, she knows that she is in the same position that Sakura was at that point when everyone was going against Sasuke for all the things that he ended up doing. The only difference is that a lot of the things that people were accusing Sasuke of doing, he actually did do them. In this instance, like Boruto didn't actually do the things that that people are accusing him of. They're being essentially manipulated by omnipotence into believing them. So yeah, just a very, very interesting. Definitely for me, my favorite part of the entire chapter. And then we see a moment after that where basically we see Choji, or excuse me, not Choji, Chocho, his daughter Chocho, is basically coming to the realization that Boruto is legit about fighting for Konoha. And here we are seeing slowly what essentially Ada was talking about, where instead of trying to reverse omnipotence, you should try to basically build new memories in people's minds that show you that Boruto is fighting for Konoha, that Boruto is not their enemy. Now, it's going to be difficult because, omnipotence, again, is making them believe that Boruto essentially tried to kill Kawaki, who they believe is Naruto's son, and they even believe the lie that Naruto has been killed by Boruto. So it's definitely going to be difficult, but over time they are definitely going to see that, okay, something's going on. And just like with Sasuke, just like with Konohamaru, just like with Shikamaru, and just like with Amado, they're going to realize something's going on, something's not right here. And they're going to basically realize that, okay, my memories are telling me something different. And what I'm seeing, my memories are telling me something different than what I'm actually seeing with my own eyes. So I'm going to choose to essentially ignore my memories and choose to believe what I'm actually seeing in front of me. We are seeing that slowly happen with more and more people. And so we get to the last part of the chapter where we see the confrontation between Boruto and Code tries to jump Boruto, but Boruto, of course, having already seen, Code basically lying there waiting for him to attack. And Boruto still tries to like save Bug, but of course, Code attacks before that. But here we see Boruto almost instantly activate an Uzuhiko, or maybe he already had it prepared, but Code, and actually what I think is a pretty impressive feat, and I actually, interestingly enough, I don't think people are giving him enough credit for this, because Boruto has his karma mark switched on, so he's being amped up by karma. He activated Uzuhiko, and he tried to attack Code, and he actually tried to attack him, and Code actually manages to dodge. So the fact that Code managed to dodge what looked like a point-blank attack from a karma amped Boruto, that's actually pretty impressive. I think, again, I know we like to clown on Code because, the the series kind of gives us a lot of reasons to do that, but Code is by no means weak. Like this, what he just did right here, this is very, very impressive. This is a very impressive feat from Code right here. And, Boruto is basically taunting him. He's basically telling him that, hey, it's interesting to see you here. And I know you're trying to kill me, but, you're not going to be able to do that from, over there. And Code is basically showing that he is actually learning from his last encounter with Boruto, where he's basically showing that he's not falling for any of his taunts, which I do like seeing. This is something I actually do like seeing with villains. I do like seeing that they are actually learning from past encounters as opposed to just having them do the same thing over and over again. We are seeing that here with Code, and I do like that. I do like what they're doing so far with Code. Now, I don't know, again, where they're going to take this, but so far I'm liking what I'm seeing. And Code actually does this very interesting thing where he uses his ability to like modify his body to basically create a sort of pseudo hand to replace the one that he lost that Jura took off. And Code ends up leaving, so one of the outcomes that Koji predicted or that Koji saw with 10 Directions ended up happening, where Code escaped because he, I think, realized that he can't essentially kill Boruto right here. And we get a moment where Boruto is unfortunately too late. The Thorn Soul has rotted, and Bug's soul has essentially been completely just burnt out. So Bug is dead. So they confirm that Bug is indeed dead. And Koji has this moment where he's telling him that, hey, don't worry about it. Remember, this guy was not good. He was a bad person, so don't feel bad about it. But Boruto, of course, being Naruto's son, he still feels, I don't know if he feels bad about Bug dying, but I think he feels bad that he wasn't able to help him because, again, Boruto and Naruto are very similar in that regards, where if they believe they can save someone, they will try because that's who they are. But here we do see what happens when a Thorn Soul is not returned in time, and we see how the person ends up dying. So next time when Boruto gets his hands on Hidari's Thorn Soul Bulb, which I do think is going to happen, obviously, we know that they are, okay, the clock has started and they need to hurry immediately. Now, another thing that I do just want to mention real quick is Bug's Thorn Soul seems to have basically burnt out a lot quicker than what it seems like it happened with both with Matsuri and Ryu. So Ryu and Matsuri, like they were defeated in the Land of Sand. Now with Ryu, they were able to get it back, I can understand, very quickly because they were already, or not in the Land of Sand, but in the Land of Wind. So I can understand them being able to get back quicker, but it would have taken a while unless they used Boruto's transportation and, flying Raijin in order to get back to the village a lot quicker, and they were able to immediately like revive Matsuri, unless that's what happened, in which case, okay, this would line up with what we are seeing right here. But if not, then it does beg the question of why is it that Mamushi's Thorn Soul rotted a lot quicker than Matsuri's or Moegi's and Shinki's, because that does beg the question. So again, I don't know if that is the case, but if it is, then I do think that's something that they may need to, answer, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Unless, again, with Shinki, they were able to get there quicker because they were already in the Land of Wind. And with Matsuri or Moegi, they were able to get there quick because Boruto used Flying Thunder God to get back to the village a lot quicker, as opposed to them having to immediately just, run there. Now, another thing that I do want to talk about before I end this, this video, this chapter review, is Code. His plan is very likely to go after Sarada, because we were told by Koji that if Code escapes, if the outcome where Code escapes happens, then his next target will be Sarada. Now, I have said this for a while. I think I already did do a video on it, which if I did, I'll leave a link to it at the end of this video so you can go, see my thoughts on what I'm about to bring up. And I think this is very possibly setting up a battle between Hidari and Code. Now, how that fight ends up, going, like whether Hidari wins or Code wins, I don't know. I personally think that if that is the direction that the story is going, which that's what it seems like to me, because he says he's going to target Sarada, and we know that Hidari, his target is also Sarada. And if you remember the chapter where, Code was there with the awakened Shinju, I did point out how in that chapter there were a lot of moments where there were panels of Hidari, I almost said Sasuke, where Hidari was specifically focusing on Code and what he was doing. And I think in the video, and even in the review, I said that to me, what it seems like is they are setting up a confrontation between Code and Hidari, and that we are going to see Code very possibly going to get taken down by Hidari and not Boruto and not, Kawaki or any of those guys. Now, I know some people may not, be a fan of that, but me personally, I think that would actually make it a lot interesting, because you have people thinking that, oh, we're going to get another match between Boruto and Code, or Code and Kawaki, since he has this bit of a history between them. But what if Code gets taken down by Hidari, and, just like the possibilities of that, like I think would possibly make it pretty interesting, because right now they both have the same target. And if Hidari is just as obsessed with accomplishing his goal of devouring his target, as we saw with Ryu, as we saw with Matsuri, as we saw with Mamushi, I don't think he's going to be okay with allowing Code to just essentially live, basically. So that's just personally what it seems like to me the chapters are setting up. Which it does beg the question, like, what would happen if Boruto, Kawaki, and the others do find out that Code was actually taken down by Hidari? Like, what would happen? What would their reaction be? I don't think Kawaki would care, because he's like, oh, okay, so one less problem for me. Boruto's probably going to be a little bit surprised, because, he probably didn't expect it to happen. Although, who knows, maybe Koji will see it with 10 directions. Who knows? And he'll tell Boruto that, hey, this is possibly what's going to happen. If this is indeed where the story's going. But anyway, those are my thoughts on everything that happened in this chapter, or just what I personally want to talk about. So overall, I think it was an okay chapter. Like I said, my favorite part was without question the Sakura and Sarada interaction in the hospital. That was by far my favorite, and I think it's the one that most people are going to be talking about, because it's just such a good character moment between these two that I love it. I love whenever we get just good character moments, that moments that just once again show you who these characters are. Just absolutely love those. And everything else in the chapter I thought was also pretty good. A lot of what happened, I think, again, was set up early on, and now we're just seeing the payoff of it. And we also, of course, the immediate aftermath of the fight with Mamushi. Again, I know a lot of people are probably not going to be happy that Inogen is completely fine, like he's not injured at all. And I do think that is something that may need to be addressed, because right now it does feel like Himawari and her healing ability does feel like I don't know what's the word for it. It does feel like kind of in a sense, kind of like a get out of jail free card. Like whatever injury ends up happening, just boom, here comes Himawari, and oh yeah, there you go, you're fine. Oh, you lost an arm, no problem, here's a new arm. Oh, you lost your eyes, no problem, here's some new eyes. Oh, you lost your heart, no problem, here's a new heart. Okay, I don't know if they're gonna go that far, because that's like insta death. So I don't think even she can heal that. Well, I don't know. I mean, no, I don't think she'll be able to heal that. But yeah, like any lethal damage that isn't just a one hit insta kill, I think if she just is able to heal that, then I think that does kind of lower the stakes for the story. So I do think that is something that it does need to get addressed soon. Now, whether it does or doesn't, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, those are my thoughts, guys, on the chapter. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below if you enjoyed this video. And if you want to see more, I really would appreciate it if you were to leave a like and share this video out there. Guys, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell for notifications. And I hope I'll see you guys for my review of Boruto Vortex chapter 35 when that happens. Bye for now.